start with China's space program. The country has confirmed a successful docking of the robotic cargo ship Tianzhou-2 with Tianhe, the core module of China's space station, early Sunday morning. This makes Tianzhou-2 the first visiting spacecraft to China's space station.
The uncrewed Tianzhou-2 cargo spacecraft successfully completed computer-orchestrated rendezvous and docking maneuvers with Tianhe at 5:01 a.m. Sunday. The whole process from launch to docking took approximately 8 hours. At around 9 p.m. Saturday, it was blast off for a new generation medium-sized Long March 7 Y3 rocket. It carried Tianzhou-2 and 4.69 tons of cargo in a pressurized segment from the Wenchang spacecraft launch site on the southern island province of Hainan. It's the first time that China's space station cargo transportation system was put into use. It was all systems go after China's Manned Space Engineering Office had confirmed that all functions of the Tianhe core module are normal and in good condition.
We have witnessed the implementation of a first autonomous fast rendezvous and docking mission, which is of great significance to our space station mission. We can better realize the transportation of supplies between the space station and Earth and support the construction and operation of our National Space Laboratory. We can also support the work and life of our astronauts in orbit.
The Tianzhou-2 is mainly responsible for transporting astronauts' everyday supplies, propellant, platform maintenance equipment, and loading equipment. In concert with Tianhe, Tianzhou-2 will automatically refuel the space station to ensure its long-term and stable operation in orbit. Waste produced during the astronaut's stay will be carried by Tianzhou-2 on its return to Earth, to be destroyed when the spacecraft burns up during re-entry into the atmosphere. Tianzhou-2 is the second of the 11 missions to build China's first self-developed space station. It will remain docked to the station module to support the upcoming crewed Shenzhou-12 mission in June.
CMG reporter Dong Qian spoke to Professor Yang Hong from China Academy of Space Technology. He's the chief designer of China's space station and the chief designer of the Tianhe core module. Professor Yang told us more about the next step of the space station's construction.
After the Tianzhou-2 cargo ship delivers resupplies to the core module of China's space station, the Shenzhou-12 manned spaceship will be launched. A crew of 3 will become the first team of astronauts stationed in the Tianhe core module for a 3-month sojourn in orbit.
神舟飞船把航天员运上去，进行在轨的关键技术验证阶段，一共要发送2个天舟货运飞船，2艘神舟飞船，在完成关键技术的验证。
要试验2次。
对，一次呢，航天员驻留3个月，另外一次的话，航天员驻留6个月。这样的话呢，来验证我们核心舱的在轨的关键技术。在关键技术验证完以后的话，要在轨进行评估，评估说可以进行建造了，那么再从前向这个口，然后对接这个实验舱1，从这上到也前向口进行对接，然后我们通过一个转位机构把它转位到侧向的，转位90度侧向的进行对接，这个对接这以后的话呢，就形成了永久的停泊，我们叫侧向的停泊口。同理，在发射实验舱2也是从前向这个地方对接上来，然后再转90度到停泊口进行永久停泊，这样就构成了一个 T 字形的一个构型。
他们2个是同期发射还是先
后发射？先后发射，但是间隔很短。
那他们都是带着电池翼上来的？
对，他们都是可以是独立的航天器，可以独立的飞行和自主的交会对接能够对上去。跟空间站先期在轨运行的核心舱形成一个在轨的组合体了。
China's Shenzhou-12 manned mission is set to be launched in June. Yang Liwei was China's first astronaut, went into space back in 2003. He's now deputy chief designer for China's manned space program. He was asked about the prospect of China sending up women astronauts.
There won't be any female astronaut on Shenzhou-12, but they will be included in further missions. Basically, all of our early astronauts are going to fly. Astronauts are trained according to their tasks. There are commanding officers and engineers. The 3 astronauts should all be capable of conducting activities outside the module. However, in actual operations, 2 will exit the module, and the 3rd astronaut will stand by inside the module.
Now let's take a closer look at Tianzhou-2. It has carried cargo weighing nearly 7 tons to the space station module. Its 40 cubic meters of cargo space is divided into more than 40 lockers and over 200 compartments. Each locker contains articles that will be needed by the astronauts once the station is crewed, as well as equipment for experiments. The large amount of cargo could make it difficult for the astronauts to find the items they need. So, designers have deployed a smart management system. It uses easy-to-read labels and QR codes. The astronauts will only need to scan the code to see if the locker contains what they're looking for. The system also monitors exactly how much cargo is in the space station and will send data back to Earth to optimize management of the space in that ship. Now, for more insight, let's talk to Professor Yang Yuguang in Beijing. So, Professor, we just reported kind of a manifest of the cargo on board the Tianzhou-2. Now, looking at the size, the payload, the design, would you say there is something unique in China's latest model?
Yes, comparing with the cargo ship of the country, the ATV from the European Space Agency is the biggest one, which has a mass of more than 20 tons, but the payload can only be about 8 tons. So you see that although the Tianzhou is not the biggest one in history, but still it is the biggest one currently in service, which has a mass of more than 13 tons. But the payload, all the cargos can reach, theoretically speaking, to 6.9 tons. So you see the Tianzhou cargo ship has the highest cargo retail, which shows that it has very high efficiency. Moreover, as you have mentioned, the cargos this time the Tianzhou-2 has more than 160 packages. All these has a QR code, as you mentioned, which brings the efficiency for the astronaut, helping them to find them. You see that in the International Space Station, usually it happens that the astronaut cannot find a certain object. So this time we have learn these lessons, and it will be far more efficient. And besides, you see that the Tianzhou has 3 tons of propellants, and only 1 ton are used by itself, and 2 tons of propellants are used for refueling to the station. So also in this case, it also has very high efficiency compared with other countries.
So are you implying that the Tianzhou series will actually be China's future transport shuttle, if you will, for the space station? Is it cost efficient?
Exactly. You see that because you know that we master the regenerative life support technology, all the environmental control and the life support system. During the missions before, we only have the regenerative life support system, so it needs more requirements to the water, food, and other supplies. In the Tianhe core module, all the water and all the oxygen will be recycled, so it reduce the requirement to Tianzhou cargo ship. Theoretically speaking, we only need 1 Tianzhou cargo ship, maybe 1 year or 11 months. So each time. So this time we can reduce the time of launches of Long March 7 rocket, and which can keep the low cost of the operation of our space station.
Professor, many are now looking forward to the launch of Tianzhou-2, a manned mission in June. So tell us a little bit more about the experiments the astronauts will carry in the very near future. Are they more about testing the core module itself?
Exactly. You see, for space station, usually we have scientific research and engineering research. This time, although we also have the standard racks for scientific research, but the major goal of our Shenzhou-12 crews will perform the engineering research. This is because you know that we've already mastered the key technologies such as rendezvous and docking, such as the refueling technologies, but still we need to test many of the new technologies necessary for construction of the station. For instance, the astronauts will test the technology to have a remote control of the cargo ship to docking with the station manually. This is very risky and dangerous, but we master this technology. And also, as we have mentioned, the EVA space suits, the 2 sets of EVA space suits will brought by the Tianzhou-2 to the station, and the astronauts of Tianzhou-12 will perform the more complex and the more longer EVA activities during their missions.
Thank you very much, Professor Yang Yuguang in Beijing. For more insight, earlier we also talked to Amit Kosh, a space scientist working on NASA Mars missions. He shared his view on the significance of the docking maneuver.
So it's a very important technical step. Imagine you have two blocks of the space station moving at an altitude at maybe 18,000 miles an hour and 248 or 250 miles from the surface of the Earth. That's how high it is. It's moving such a high velocity, and at that point, docking both modules might sound very simple from Earth, but it is difficult. So I think it's a very important technical step, not that China has not done this before, and not that other, like NASA and the International Space Station, they also have to do these steps. But nonetheless, this is a very important step, a very important technical milestone.
Now let's take a look back at the highlights from the launch and docking of the Tianzhou-2 cargo spacecraft.